Well, welcome, welcome, welcome once again to another Keeping Queens in Balance podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me once again. Please be sure to follow and comment because I love to hear what you queens have to say about my podcast. So today I have a wonderful guest with me, Miss Shermonica Slaughter. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your show. I love everything that you do about it. It's so
Oh,
grown and mature. And I was
oh,
like, yes, I want to be like you. I want to be like
oh, thank
you.
you. Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. So let me tell my followers a little bit about you. So I'm going to read the bio that you shared. Okay. Miss Shermonica Slaughter is a mom of three children.
Yes, ma'am.
She has her master's degree in criminal justice. She is a 9-year survivor of domestic violence. And that's amazing. That's what I know we're definitely gonna, get into that a little bit because I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that's definitely part of your journey. With the mission and goal to advocate for survivors and teach them that there is life after domestic abuse. Shamanika is a proud founder of the non-profit organization Help Me, Help You, an organization where her main goal is to help women receive counseling and guidance. The organization also helps prepare them to move forward by teaching them how to love themselves, and that's what we talk about here, loving
Yes,
that
ma'am.
self-love, and giving the women the tools needed to never go back to abuse. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm so excited for you doing it.
Thank
Yay! So
you.
excited to have you here. So excited to have you here. So, all right. So I shared a little bit about you with my followers. Is there anything that I missed? Anything you want to share before we get started that maybe just happened recently in your life? You want to just let
Well,
us
for
know.
one, I gotta update my bio because I'm 10 years now. It'll be 11 years this year, but that
Okay.
bio was written when I kind of first started, so I'm gonna
Yes.
update that. That's enough
Yes.
for itself. But besides the advocacy, I have a podcast that's doing really well. And
Okay.
it's called My Journey Within
All
podcast,
right.
and it kind of caters to my advocacy and just my journey through mental health and everything
Yes.
that I struggle with and I dealt with and everything. So that's kind of like what's new, what's going on, and
Okay, good.
raising these children, right?
Oh, yes. What? Yes, I know. I hear that. I hear that. All right. So, so this is a show, of course, about balance.
Okay.
So we talk about what that tool is, what's brought us to this point. So I know you've gone through a lot in your life. What was the one balancing factor for you? What is it that helped you find balance in your journey? And of course, we're going to talk about everything else, but just share that with my followers in terms, what's that balancing piece for you?
My walk with God.
Okay. Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't grow up in a home where God was the center.
Mm-hmm.
I really found God when I was about 16.
Okay.
And just I started out at like a Caucasian church. And
Yes,
so,
yes,
it's like you're in and out 30, 40 minutes
yes, yes,
before
yes.
I came to like a non-denominational church. But it's really been my walk with
Okay,
God that has really kept me. And I'm not saying it was perfect because it was
right.
highs and lows, but it's really kept me balanced as a woman,
Yes.
as a mother, and as a friend. It just that's what that has helped me.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. I can definitely understand. And I know a lot of women can definitely relate to that connection to God and that connection to the spiritual aspects of who we are. And that's so important as we center ourselves and balance ourselves.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, so let's get started with your journey. What happened that led you toward finding that was that piece for you? That was that balancing factor for you. What happened in your life?
Well, since my childhood, I had a very traumatic childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It was full
Mm-hmm.
of physical abuse and mental abuse and sexual abuse. And that led over into my teenage years. It led me to being a teen mom.
Right.
And I was in every relationship I had was abusive because that's
Right.
all
Right.
I ever saw. That's
Right.
all
Right.
I ever known. I didn't know anything else except for a man hitting you or putting his hands on you or
Mm-hmm.
disrespecting you because it was all I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not I didn't want to go this route. It was prophesied to me
Okay.
about being, just an advocate and and a survivor. And I was like, no, I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I got out the relationship. I'm fine. I'm just gonna raise my kids. But it kept coming to me. It would not leave me. I kept
Mm-hmm.
having people come to me and say, hey, can you speak? Hey, can you share your journey? And so I
Mm-hmm.
really went before God. I was like, if this is what you want me to do, I
Mm-hmm.
need you to
Mm-hmm.
show me what to do and how to do it, because domestic violence is very taboo. A lot of women don't want to talk about it. They're ashamed. I was one of those
Yes.
women. I was
Yes.
ashamed. What happened to me is almost as shameful as sexual abuse when it
Right.
comes to this. So, but my whole goal and my whole focus is therapy is what helped me.
Okay.
I was one of those people. Black people don't go to therapy. I was banned.
No.
And when I
Good.
started, it changed my life. I even have my kids in therapy, because maybe you
Yes.
can't talk to me about something, but you
Right.
can go talk to your therapist.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's where the foundation came. That
Right. Right.
I can help you find a place to stay and shelter, and I can help you get a job. But if I don't help you learn how to change your mindset
Yes.
by going
Yes.
through therapy and
Mm-hmm.
counseling, then you're just going to either go back to your abuser, or you're just going to invite someone in. So let's
Yes.
get some therapy. Let's get some counseling. Let's get some healing,
Right.
because I
Right.
know what it's like to come from a broken home. And
Yes.
I always saw myself like I was a broken woman out here loving broken men, and we were just
Mm-hmm.
cutting each other up.
Right, 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 right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you made some great points there, Shmonica, in terms of, okay, so of course the God piece, but also that therapy piece. And unfortunately, it is looked at as such a taboo within our culture,
It really
as not one of those things where Black people don't do, therapy, but it's so essential. And
is.
hopefully, I think that one of the things that came out of the pandemic was that is a piece. That is something we can do.
It
That
is.
is something, because we all felt off balance, after, what we went through with the pandemic and still going through,
Yes.
Um, so I know therapy is something that's essential that we can not don't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? It is essential to your healing.
Amen.
So in terms of let's talk about that. So in terms
Okay.
of finding that therapy aspect, how did you go about that? Did you just look in the yellow pages so that my listeners can know?
Okay,
Was
no,
it a
no
difficult
problem.
thing to do, like to find a therapist? Did someone refer someone? Was it a little journey to even find that person? Tell us a little bit about that, if you will.
Well, my therapy journey, it was so rocky, because
Mm-hmm.
I started out going through therapy through DHR.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was like, I feel like you need someone to talk to. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't want to talk to you
Right.
or anything. And so I started with her. And
Right.
then she referred me, once the time was up, she referred me to someone else. And it was not good. She was kind
Right.
of one of those therapists, like I poured everything out to her, and she would just be like, how does that make you feel? And I was sitting there like, I told you how I feel. And so
Right.
once I left her, I connected with another lady, a wonderful lady. I was with her for about 2 years, and she
Right.
really gave me the script that I needed at that time.
Right.
But we really wasn't dealing with my trauma. We wasn't
Yes.
dealing with
Yes.
that. And so,
Yes.
I was like, I feel like our time has come to end. I have a wonderful therapist now. I
Okay.
can
Good.
truly say, I have like a journey with therapy, but I
Yes.
have a therapist now. She's a mental health therapist. So we're working, with the trauma and just
Yes.
working with everything. And so it has been a journey, but it's been a great journey. And I advocate for therapists so hard now.
That's
So
good.
much. I tell
That's good.
anybody, go to therapy if life going good, go to therapy if life going bad. Like just I promise you,
Get
you will regret it, because
right.
real work is outside. You can
Yes.
go in there and see, because I thought I'd just go in and tell you everything and you
Right.
gonna fix it. And she
Right.
was like, no, ma'am, the work is outside. You
Yes.
got to do the
Yes.
work when situations come up. So,
Yes. So use the tools that are being given to you,
yes, ma'am.
right? To use the
Mhm.
tools that are being given to you. That's wonderful. I want my followers to know that it doesn't have to be a straight path with that
Mhm.
therapist. And it's okay to say, this isn't working for me,
Mhm.
but I'm going to still continue looking for someone else that will work for me. You know
Yes,
what I mean? It's another relationship in reality,
pretty much.
so you have to make that decision that maybe that therapist is not the right one for you, and maybe you're not getting everything you can out of that particular therapist, and to look for someone else. So I agree, that's a wonderful thing.
Thank
And I really
you.
think people need to hear that too, that it's okay to say, this is not the right one, but I'm going to continue in my search till I find the
Mhm.
right one that works for me and helps me to grow in the ways that I need to grow.
Thank
So
you.
that's good. I like that. I like that. All right, so the next thing is, of course, your relationship with God. I know you talked a little bit about being in a church, when you were younger,
Yeah.
and then slowly, and now you're in a non-denominational church. So what happened in your life that made you feel like you needed to step toward God or lean into God? And I think that may be even part of your journey with domestic abuse. I'm not sure, but I would love to hear, and I know my followers would love to
Okay,
hear.
sure.
So yeah,
Yes. Well,
what made
as
you
a
lean in more? What made you lean
okay,
in? Yes.
as a child, looking back, I've always felt just protected. And even
Okay.
before I knew who the Holy Spirit was or anything, I've always felt that. And I'm like, what is that? What
Right.
is that feeling? And I grew up in, like low income housing
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it would be it was like some Caucasian people. They would come around and just get all the children from the neighborhood, take us to church. And so
Right.
they really introduced me to God.
Right. Right.
Once I left that church, I was like, okay, because for a long time I just had the church mentality. Well, I'm going to church every Sunday and I'm going to for Bible study, but I did not have a relationship with God.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha. Right.
I went through so many highs and lows because I was one of those Christians at first. I don't watch this, I don't do that, I do that. And God
Mm-hmm.
had
Hmm.
to knock me down off my high horse and say, this is
Yes.
not who I am.
Right.
I'm
Right.
loved, I am forgiven, I'm this, I'm that.
Yes.
And so now I have not been in a physical church since
Mm-hmm.
2019.
Okay.
I go to online church because God had to he pulled me out of that church mentality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I have a deep relationship with God now.
It's
And it's
beautiful.
better since I've been, and not saying I won't ever go back to a physical church if that's what
Right.
he leads me to. But
Right.
right now, he was like, I need a relationship with you. Yeah,
Right.
you're going to church and you're doing this, but when you come home, you don't read the Bible, you don't talk to me, you don't do
Yes.
anything.
Right.
And
Right.
it's different now.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I'm about the only one in my family that's really, living for God and not
Yes.
talking down about them. It was me and my aunt, but she passed away in
Yes.
2011. So it was, I feel like she just kind of prepared me for like the
Yeah.
turning of
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
really living for God, how people would like, turn their back on you and leave you and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So it's been the up and down, but it's been also very rewarding
Oh,
because
good.
everything I've went through and everything I've dealt with, God was always there. He never left.
Yes.
You know, he,
Yes.
he's been my rock. And I
Good.
needed that in some dark times up in my life.
Yes.
So just and now I'm at a point where I don't know any other life but to live. I
Well,
don't know
that's a
anything.
beautiful thing.
I couldn't go back to the world if I tried. If I
Right,
tried
right. Well,
to.
that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing that you found that balance. And that's really
Mhm.
what you need to have, as a queen, and that's what this show is all about. Everyone's going to have something different that helps them find their balance, find their center, reach deep within,
Yeah.
help heal and transform to be our better selves. And I like what you said too in terms of that you're not going to a physical church. A lot of people are connected to the physical church. They go to the physical church all the time, but then they come home and they're doing all sorts of things
And that's it.
just
Yeah.
so they could check off the box that they went to church
I
on
went to
Sunday.
church. I
You
was
know what
one
I'm
of
saying?
them. I
And
was one
that's
of them.
and that's not what it's all about. And I think, creating that relationship, and really digging deep into that, and listening and following what you need to follow along that journey is essential.
Man.
And you don't necessarily need a church over your head to do
No.
that. It's a church in your heart, right?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
so that's good. That's good. I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
So, so in your journey, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far in your journey?
Oh, wow. Self-love and
Self-love
self-worth.
and
Growing
self-worth.
up, I abused a lot mentally by my mothers and
Hmm.
even my sisters. I was the darkest one per se. They were all light skinned. So, I got,
Right.
bullied a lot by them
Right.
growing
Right.
up where I
Right.
hated myself. I didn't like the way I looked. I felt like maybe if I was light skinned, I would look better
Right.
because that's just what they instilled in me. And then,
Hmm.
abuse I endured from relationships.
Hmm.
So it would
Hmm.
just be self-love. And in the
Right.
course of therapy, I had to realize that not only forgiving them, but I had to forgive myself for what
Yes.
I allowed. Because if I really truly loved myself and loved who I was, I would have never allowed, that such things to happen to me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's been my biggest thing. And I'm 37 now. And I'm
Hmm.
just truly can say that like I love who I am. I love myself. I love everything about me. And it took a
Oh,
long
that's
time.
beautiful. That's
Thank you.
beautiful. Self-love is so essential. And,
Mhm.
and we talk about it a lot here on Keeping Queens in Balance because, when you have that self-love, a lot of other things fall into place.
Well,
You're going to give yourself the time that you need to connect with yourself. And if you don't have that self-love, then a lot of times you're not finding the time because we are selfless. A lot of times as women, as mothers, we are in that vein of just
yes.
constantly
Mhm.
giving, and we forget about ourselves. So
Been
that's,
there too.
yes, right. Oh, yeah.
Especially as a mom, they just like, I mean, I know your children in some aspect do come before you, but I've learned that before I had children, I was a woman. and I have
Yes.
to continue being a woman because my
Yes.
children, they will go on with their lives, and when they're gone,
Yep.
then what's going to be for mom? I didn't spend
Yes.
all the years, so now I take time for mom, and
Good.
I'm
Good.
glad I do that.
Yes, take time for mom. That's important. That's important. We talk about it all the time too. So, all right. So, self-love is one of the things you definitely learned in your journey, But what have you really overcome as a woman of color in your journey? What have you overcome? What challenges have you overcome in your journey? And I know your platform is domestic abuse, and of course you
Mhm.
can talk about that, but I don't know anything. What challenges have you overcome to get to that point of saying, wow, self-love, God, those are my things, like what got you there?
Well, being dependent, well, I was very dependent on people.
Okay.
I had a
Mm.
codependency problem really, really
Mm.
bad. And it stopped me from a lot of things in life because I felt like I had to have a million people around me because
Hmm.
I've dealt with abandonment issues.
Oh, okay. All right.
Being emotionally abandoned by my mother,
Right.
emotionally and physically abandoned by my father. And
Right.
just, it just all that. So when I would meet someone and I would just latch on to them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? I
Yeah.
was
You're right.
so insecure, so riddled with self-doubt and not
Yes.
knowing who I was. I was very dependent,
Yes. I got
really
you.
dependent. And I had a relationship that ended in 2017. We were engaged to be married. That's kind of where my
Wow.
therapy journey, it really took off. We were engaged to
Yes.
be married. And 55 days before the wedding, he called it off and he got another woman pregnant. He left me for another woman.
What?
And
What?
yes, ma'am. It kind of took me to it really showed me where I was so dependent on him.
Yes.
And for maybe about the next 6 months after he left,
Mm-hmm.
when he left, everybody else left. And I
Yes.
was completely alone. I promise you, my phone didn't ring for like 4 months. No one called
Wow.
me. Like when he
Wow.
left, they left. And so
Wow.
he just left me with no one but God. And he was like, I was here this whole time
Right?
waiting on you. And that's where like that codependency broke.
Yes.
It
Yes.
completely broke. And so, I'm glad to say now I'm very comfortable with being alone and being by myself and doing things by myself, outside of friends and everything.
Yes.
But that's where the turning point came
Yes.
when he left, which would turn out to be the best thing that ever happened
Of
to me.
course it was.
It
Of
was
course
the
it
best
was.
thing.
Of course it
Yeah,
was, Shamaika. That was part of your journey
it
to get
was.
to this place in front of me. You know what I mean? That's part of your journey. And
Thank
look
you.
how much you've learned and look how much you've grown from that. And although we don't think it's that in that moment
Yeah.
because we can't believe it, but we know that's just an opening to something else. You know what I
I
mean? It's
tell
just
you,
that
Miss
next step.
Renee, sometimes I still wake up and I be like, whoo, thank you, God, he gone. I go back to sleep. Like, oh yes, thank you. Because looking back in
Yes,
hindsight, where
yes.
my life is going, and not saying nothing bad about him because he is the father of my youngest daughter,
Right, right,
where his
right.
life is, we're going in two different directions, and it
Yes,
wouldn't have lasted anyway. So,
yes,
and I'm
yes.
grateful. I'm
No,
very grateful.
right. You know what? And that's the thing about it. You have to, that gratitude, we also have to have gratitude toward people that may have done us wrong in a way,
Yes.
because that's part of our journey
Exactly.
that allowed us to grow, that allowed us to step in and lean into whatever we were supposed to learn, whatever
Mhm.
lesson we were supposed to learn in that moment. That person was a part of that piece.
He
They were a
truly
part of that,
was. He
you
truly
know?
was. I always say he was my biggest lesson.
Yes,
My biggest
yes,
lesson, and
yes.
I'm very grateful.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. I
Thank
love it.
you.
So, all right. So, my question: what message would you now share with our young women of color who are facing challenges in today's world? What would you tell
Oh,
them?
wow. I
Because
would
it's
just
a different world than when we were younger. That's
yes,
for
it
sure.
is
Yes,
completely. I see it
yes,
now with my children, and I was
yeah,
like, "Ooh!" When I was growing up,
yeah.
but what I would say a message to them is just to know who you are. I
Mm,
really wish, I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. I just really wish that everything I know now, I would have knew then. And so that's
right,
what I try to instill in my children now.
right.
Like for the end of last year,
Hmm.
the last 2 weeks of the year, I sat down and I made them each a self-development journal.
Oh,
So
nice,
yes,
nice.
ma'am,
Yes,
it's questions for the next 365 days. They're to
right.
do it every day. And it's just to help them develop who they are, what they like, what
Hmm.
they don't like, what's your purpose, all that. I sat down, took my time, and wrote it down for them because I
Yeah.
want them to know who they are when they
Yes.
leave my house. And that's the
Yes.
main thing I could say to young women. just know who you are. Trust your
Right.
instincts. Trust your
Right.
gut.
Right.
Seek God for help, whatever you may need, because I guarantee He will never lead you the wrong way when
Right.
it
Right.
comes
Right.
to it. And don't let anyone bring you down, beneath them.
Yes.
I
Yes.
look at myself now. I say I want to be a light in this world. I just let so many
Yes.
people dim my light and bring it down. But I was like, no, I was meant to come here and be a light to
Yes, you
others. I'm
were,
gonna keep
girl.
on
Yes, you
shining.
were. Yes, you were. Yes, yes, yes. Shine on for sure. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, because I think that in our current society and the exposure that our young women have,
Yes.
to social media and to just everything, it's just
Mhm.
much different from what we did. We also struggle with those things, but just imagine now in terms of, all the images and all the different messages they get from social media. It's very hard for them to find themselves,
Yes, they
to
do.
really, connect with who they are as young women,
Because they feel like they have to look a certain way, or
Yep,
I have
yep,
to have this, I have to have the
yep,
marriage, I have to have the husband, I have to have the house,
yep,
and you truly don't.
yep, yep, yep.
You truly don't. I learned a great lesson from I love Oprah Winfrey's Super Soul Sunday. I
Yes, isn't that
love her.
good? I love
And
that.
she was
Yes.
interviewing Shonda Rhimes, and she
Oh,
just was like,
yes.
I don't want to be married. She said, marriage is not my goal.
Yep. Right.
And for a long time, marriage, it was my goal. I gotta have a
Yes.
man. I gotta have a man.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
not a goal. It's a desire. I would
Right.
love to be married one day, but it's not my end all be all. It's not my goal. Because
Good.
at the
Good.
end of the day, I can't take him with me when I die. So I'm gonna be by myself when it's time for me to get up out here. He won't be with me. So I look at it like in that sense and sort. Like God, if you want me to have a husband, he'll come. But
Right.
if
Right.
not, I'm gonna keep on doing what you put me here to do.
Thank you.
And that's to be who you wanted me to be.
That's right, to be your best self, right? To bring
Amen.
that, right? And to affect change, and connect and do all those things that you're doing now. That's
Thank
beautiful. That's really
you.
beautiful. So can you share with me one word that describes what your relationship with God does for you? Or how can you put that into one word?
Sure. It makes me feel safe.
Safe,
I never
safe,
felt safe.
safety.
Growing up,
Okay.
home was not a safe place. Just I never felt safe. But when I'm in His presence and
Hmm.
I talk to Him all day, and I know He'd be like, "Ooh, girl, can you give me a break?" I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I talk to Him all day long. So when I'm
Right.
in His presence, I feel safe.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that. The security that it brings for you,
Mhm.
right? And that's really, what we could say is that peace
Yes.
within. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's the calmness, and everyone finds that in different ways, but that's a beautiful thing that you can
Thank
find that.
you.
So okay, so my next question is,
Okay.
what would you tell other women other women of color? And now I know that in reality, this may be like a no-brainer for people. They're like, oh, I know how to do that. I know how to talk to God or whatever. But especially because within our culture, the church and religion play such a strong role. But
It
that
does.
doesn't mean that everyone has to be there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I guess my question to you would be, what would you tell other women of color about how they could step forward with their relationship with God or build upon that?
Just start talking to him. I
Mm,
had to learn because I used to pray these long, drawn out prayers of just like Father, out that God, all
right,
kind of stuff,
right,
and He was just like, just talk to me.
right,
All I want is a relationship with you, like you talk to your homegirls, like you talk to your mom. Talk to me.
right, right.
God can tend to get on our level in a sense until He can get, to bring us up.
Yes,
But the more you
yes.
talk to Him, the better you feel. So I have a conversation with God just like he my homeboy, just like he is, I come to him real about,
Yes,
okay, I'm going through this, I'm feeling this way, I don't want to feel this way, help me. I just come to him real. So I would just say, just start talking to him. Even
yes.
I have my kids, you
Hmm.
know, just maybe 4 or 5 minutes a day. Just
Yeah,
tell God how you feel. It doesn't have to be hours and
right, right,
hours and hours. It's just the
right,
consistency of you letting him into your day. Every
right,
morning when we're on our way to school, I have these affirmations that I say with my kids. We invite Holy Spirit in every day.
right,
Invite
right,
him to their school, invite him into my job. We just invite him in. And as we pray, because we pray every morning before they get out the car
right,
and
right.
everything. We just invite him in. Just talk to him. That's all I tell him. Just talk to him. He just waiting. He just
Okay.
wants a
All
relationship.
right, all right, all right, all right. So that makes it easy, right? So just start a conversation.
That's
Just
it.
just give yourself that moment and start that conversation, and that's a nice,
Mhm.
easy way to step forward in building that. So I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Um, On another level, how do you think that women of color can continue to progress and overcome their current struggles? A lot of things going on in the world. How do you think, if you gave it a global look, or, even just the United States, we don't even have to go globally. How can women of color, progress and overcome?
I just think we need to love each other more. As
Mm,
as Black women, we tend to tear each other down. Oh, I
mm,
want you to do good, but I want you to do better than me. No, it's
mm,
enough out here for
mm,
everybody to get theirs. For me to
mm.
eat, for you to eat, for me to
Right,
have money, for you. It's enough. And I feel like if we can work together and
right.
come off that mentality, I feel like we would be a lot further along than where we are as Black women. And
Gotcha.
even women in general, because it goes,
It goes
how they
both
say,
ways.
with catty women and everything.
Yes,
Just learn to support your sister and celebrate your sister when she have a win. Because if
yes.
God can do it for her, He can turn around and do it for you too, and maybe
Right,
even better. And
right,
so
right.
I was, I used to be, I used to be very bitter. I was very
Mm,
bitter, and I had a victim mentality, and I used
yes,
to tear women down a lot.
right,
And I had to go back and really right a lot of wrongs and apologize to a lot of
right,
people for
right.
how I was when I was in my brokenness. And now
Yes,
I'm just, I'm just here to lift you up.
yes,
I'm not gonna
yes,
tear you down. If that's how you choose to be, I'm still just gonna spit love because I tell my children all the time, what you put out there, it comes
yes.
back. I
That's
promise
right.
you it's gonna come
That's right.
back. And
That's
so
right.
that's my main thing with them. If we just love each other more and support and celebrate each other, watch how far we would go.
Yes, I definitely think that too. The support and celebration of each other is essential. I think that we do have to, there's enough room at the
Yes,
table.
it truly is.
You know what I mean? As there's enough room at the table. And I think once everyone realizes that and kind of just scoots over a little bit, or even helps out a person that can't find a chair,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? I
Yes.
think all those different things,
I'm
that'll be a
always saying,
beautiful
come
thing.
on, girl, sit down.
Yeah,
I'm a squeeze on in like
yeah,
this, but you come
yes,
on, sit right here, and you sit
yeah.
right there, and we're gonna
We are good.
celebrate together.
We are celebrate together. And that's so important that we continue to celebrate one another, and just shout out each other, and and the blessings that we can give to one another. I mean, that's
Amen.
just amazing. That's so good. That's so good. So, all right. So, you shared your story, your issues, or your, I'm trying to find the right words. Your issues with domestic violence,
Yes.
your the colorism, all the different things that you kind of brought to the table here. And I know that, sitting here looking at you now, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't guess the things that you struggled in, the journey, the things that you've overcome. You know what I mean? But
Thank you.
I have to think that as an amazing, beautiful queen, what jewels did having placed in your crown because of your journey, you
Okay.
know? And what jewels do you hope to add as you move forward?
Ooh, well, I know it's self love and self worth.
Okay, self-love and self-worth.
Those are
That's
my
important.
two biggest ones. But
Yes.
the three crowns that God has recently added
Okay, all right.
is the forgiveness.
Oh,
Because
yes.
I had so much unforgiveness
Oh,
in
yes.
me, and I
Yes.
didn't even realize it. And he was like, "You got to forgive. That comes
Right.
from your mom, your dad, your sister.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
got to forgive."
Mm-hmm.
And it would have, and besides forgiveness, it would be peace. Because I've always had a chaotic life. I'm talking
Yes.
about, it was always seemed like one thing after another after another.
Mm-hmm.
It was never peaceful.
Right.
And
So are
and
you looking for that? Are you looking for that crown, or you found it
I
already?
found it.
Okay.
I found
Okay.
my peace. I found
Okay.
my forgiveness,
Okay.
within myself and with others, and faith. Because
Mm.
I had a hard time trusting God because I didn't trust people. Everyone,
Yes.
came into my life abandoned me. And I had
Right,
to
right,
realize He never abandoned me. So I
right,
had to work on my faith. So those
right.
are the three things that He's given me that I
Yes.
can, stand and say, like, I have unshakable faith. Like, I can believe
Yes.
me, you, and everybody else. That God, He gonna do it for us. He gonna do it. And
Right, right.
those are my three jewels that He
That
had
you have
right
that
there.
you have now, that you have now, right?
Yes, ma'am. I
All
have
right.
them now.
And what do you look forward to building? What do you want to gain as
Hmm.
you move forward in your journey?
Okay. I guess I can say, I haven't thought about that. For
You
as
gotta
like,
think about it, girl. You
because
gotta
I've
think
said, I you know
about
what, I
it.
need to, because I used to be so much focused on the future. I
Yes.
wouldn't worry about I wouldn't think
Right.
about right now. And so just kind of lately in my journey, I've just been like day by day.
Right. I got you.
getting
I
my
got you.
daily bread, getting this, getting that. But I just
Yeah.
started a new job. I have a great career now.
Yes.
And when I
Yes.
find I have a career, like God
I
bless
know.
me.
I heard. I saw something, some post. I was like, congratulations, girl.
Yes, he
Congratulations.
did. And
Yeah.
so I would just have to say, and I'm glad it wouldn't take away from this right here what I'm doing. That's how
Right.
I know God blessed me with this
Yes.
job because I
Yes.
still can do this and I can work and everything. But I would just have to say my next looking for I would like to be married. I would like
Okay.
that. I would like to
Okay.
have a great ministry with my
Okay.
husband.
Okay.
I
So
would
that love
love.
of
Yes,
his,
I would
yeah.
really because I've
Okay.
given so much love out and I've never gotten it back in return.
Okay, I can definitely understand that. I can definitely understand that. And that would be a beautiful thing for you. You know what?
Thank
That would be a
you.
beautiful thing for you. But I have loved having you, Miss Shermonica Slaughter,
Yes,
on
ma'am.
my show and talking with me and sharing. I think your thoughts on therapy, your thoughts on just overcoming adversity have
Thank
been absolutely
you.
amazing. So thank you so much for being with us on Keeping Queens in Balance.
Yes,
And I know we are going to hear so much more from you. And we thank
thank,
you so much for being here with
thank
us
you
today.
so much for having me on. You're amazing. Your show, everything is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's women like you that make it amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So be well. Once again, everyone, thank you for joining me on Keeping Queens in Balance. Make sure you tune in for another podcast next week and be well.